Dude, I can't
Hey.
hear you guys.
You can't hear us?
Oh, I can hear you now. I couldn't hear you for a second. Can you hear me?
Yeah, unfortunately. Burn.
Dang, the burns have already started. Here we go.
Wind him up.
Hang on, I'm cleaning my glasses, then I'll get the burns going.
Nerd.
No,
What's
burn
up,
on,
Mr. Darnan?
burn on him.
Look
not
at this
burn
cool
on me.
new. Oh, geez, that light. That's not good.
I know. I have to block my light with my head because there's a light right there, too.
Please put your head up there.
What if I just?
Oh, you can turn off. What? I don't know.
I didn't see him.
Wow, you just set the pillow on there and it turns it right off.
Loser, loser.
No.
Is that better?
That's way better.
Dude, burn on him, not me. We're supposed to be the gay couple.
Dude, Danon, you been working out, man?
A little, yeah. I wore my schmedium just for this podcast.
You can see it. You can see it in your shoulders and your pecs.
Hit the pipes, dude. Flex check. This is the
Am I
part
singing?
of the Refletcher podcast. It's called the flex check. Okay.
Come on, baby.
There we go.
Dude,
Dang,
flex
I
check.
didn't know you
Flex
were having
check.
a kid.
All right. not the turd check.
Speaking of flex, did I leave that there by accident? Excuse me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Dude.
Oh.
I didn't know you were married. When did that happen?
Snap.
Engagement pics much?
I got one to up that. I'll be right back.
Hey,
Oh, I cannot wait for this.
Someone else. I can't quite tell who that is. That could be like, what's his bucket? Yeah. How do I know that's you? That can't be you.
Check this out.
Some other kid.
There's one we haven't put up too.
Who's this we? Oh, shoot, are we all getting out our pictures? Because I got pictures too.
Did you bring your picture, dude?
Oh.
No.
Oh.
Yeah,
Is that Joaquin Phoenix?
That's Joaquin Phoenix.
dude. I still gotta freaking up. Are you ready for this crap?
Bring it. I'm not ready yet. Okay. Just leave that there. Hit me.
You ready, dog?
Well, yeah.
Oh. And look, we even have a nice ledge.
There we
Oh,
go.
that's perfect.
Uh-oh. Wait. Maybe it'll
There we go.
maybe it'll wedge perfectly right between that and the sconce.
Ah, that's legit.
I have one of those too. I should go grab it. It's in the garage. We're trying to find the perfect place for it.
The perfect buyer. Nobody's off enough.
I think we put it right in the entryway of the Airbnb. So when people come in, they just are like, zen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's at peace. Our yin and yang is balanced.
Infinity friends.
Gay infinity.
Get infinity.
Infinigay.
Are we live, dude? Is this live, bro?
It's recording, so yeah, I guess.
Grab, warn a dog, my gosh.
Oh, hang on, I gotta go powder my nose.
Sweet. Sweet. Dude. So yeah, how are things, bro?
Dude, things are good. It's a good time of year to be in Arizona because it's like beautiful outside all the time.
Yeah.
And it makes you forget how. Do you have a black eye?
Oh no, dude, check this out. These are this one was a leprechaun hat and this one was a 4-leaf clover tattoo that I put on myself for yesterday's festivity. And dude,
I saw those ones.
yeah,
You sweat most of
and-
them off in pickleball.
I got these ones too.
I didn't see these.
Oh, hot dang!
Those look fresh.
Yesterday, bro, for the festivities.
I swear they weren't there yesterday.
I support gays.
Gay leprechauns, especially.
Aren't all leprechauns gay?
I watched the Luck of the Irish yesterday.
Oh, great
and
show.
All leprechauns are gay.
That was a great show.
It was one of those shows that just really opened the door for gay people to, feel comfortable,
Yeah.
being leprechauns.
Not only that, but frosted tips. Did a great appearance in that.
Definitely my Frosted Tips awakening and my gay
Mhm.
awakening too.
Yes, your awakening.
Wait,
What is that one? Have you guys seen Brink?
Brink.
have I seen?
Is that
Brink?
the-
That's the skater one?
Skater one. It's another Disney Channel original, but it's like a skater one, and he's like a punk kid who
Oh,
makes it off the streets to,
just on
you
the
know.
brink of life, living on the
He
edge.
roller
Oh,
skates in X Games.
He says stuff like sick and radical.
Actually, yeah, I think so.
it's very progressive.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, that is the prequel to Paul Blart and Mall Cop. Yeah. But he's one of the bad guys in Paul Blart and Mall Cop.
Yes, that's him in the end. Like,
yeah, who
skating
come
with
in on their BMXs and skateboards. The
Uh,
bad guy.
it's one of those backstory movies.
Yeah, great show. Really.
oh my
great.
gosh, I remember sitting in that one being like, what? Like this was their best option for this scene? Because doesn't he get like like a hot sauce or something and like throws it at the skater and like knocks him out?
Is
Probably.
That sounds like Nacho Libre.
He's like, let me
No,
head.
it's corn. He throws the corn.
Yeah, right in his eye.
Yeah.
He's like,
Would've
let
been cooler
me
if
let
it
me
was hot
head to the place with all the weapons in the mall, the food court, the spiciest hot sauce. Paul Blart, man, he's quite the cop.
Do you want me to fact check that? I actually don't remember Mall Cop.
Yeah, fact check that. Fact check. He does like a spicy. It's like a spicy lid, like from a sriracha or something. There's spicy in there. I'm sure of it.
That's
I'm looking up
incredible.
Mall Cop hot sauce, but it's on incognito mode. so-
Careful, dude. Shoot. We'll put on private browser. Jeez. Also, let's back up for a sec. You said you remember sitting through that, or you said something like hinting that you went and saw that movie in theaters. Is that true?
Wait, what?
Mall Cop. Paul Blart Mall Cop.
I think we watched it together actually, which
Sounds
means we both saw it in theaters.
Oh, that
right on.
If I go down, we all go down.
That's true. Crap. Did you see Paul Blart 2 in theaters?
there's a second one.
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. Have you seen it in theaters?
You guys see Anchorman 2?
Now, that was at the Sticky Shoe Theater, wasn't it?
I
I didn't
remember.
see it. I thought it looked kind of dumb actually.
I think I remember seeing it and was like, dang, I thought that looked kind of dumb. And I was right about that.
Yeah. I thought the first one was pretty dumb actually for how
for how
iconic.
many stars were in there?
Yeah, well, I think it's one of those movies that was really good in the time because no one had ever done a movie like that.
Mm,
And then like it just didn't age well because if you watch it now, it's pretty kind of hard to watch. It's pretty stupid.
yeah,
Sorry, I just got to the hot sauce scene from Mall Cop.
So it is hot sauce.
It is hot sauce?
Yeah.
that's awesome. And he's wearing a flame shirt. I saw that, a
Yeah.
flame touristy shirt.
I told you, I knew there was something with hot sauce. I think he like apprehends the bad guy in the end with hot sauce or something.
He distracts him by chucking something at him. He's like, "You thought you were gonna get me," and then he's like, "I still got you," and like zings off the lid and goes, "Ha!"
Which
Dang.
is funny because like according to street rules, that's actually not okay to do. You
Well-
can't just hot sauce someone. It's like throwing sand in someone's eyes.
I mean, he
Yeah.
is a mall cop.
Oh
They
yeah.
live by their own set of rules.
They got different rules there at the mall.
I was hoping that it was like he captured one of the BMX guys and he had him like propped back, taped up, and then he has the hot sauce to his eye saying, "Where's the rebel base?" So
Bro, I don't
like that.
know. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Maybe that's in the second one. I've never seen it.
Remember when we put hot sauce on that car in high school?
On I almost said her name, dude. This is a live cast, bro. That'd have been jail time.
Allegedly. Everything's
Oh.
alleged.
My friend once told me about this guy. He would go to Betos all the time with his friend who would always buy him Betos. And it was like 4 of the guys. And so naturally they're gonna have a lot of hot sauce left over, right?
Of course.
So I
Not bad.
heard anyway, I couldn't believe it when I heard it, that they would get the little packets, the little cups of the hot sauce, and when they're driving through the parking lot, they would just berate every single car in the parking lot with these hot sauce. They call them sauce bombs, I'm told. In the police report, that's what it says, anyways.
I really want to say the name of the person because that's integral to the story. Because we were like, remember, like,
Yeah. I'm like, screw you, insert blank. Bah. Do you remember the best time, the most infamous time that
It was the worst.
that
of
my
times.
friend heard a guy did that was when they went to Taco what's it
Taco
called?
Amigo?
Del Taco. Why am I tripping? Del Taco, and they got the Fiesta pack. A great deal. Head there now. This podcast is actually sponsored by Del Taco. But we got the you get like what? It was like 6 bean and cheese and like 6 soft shell tacos.
it's a steal.
It's a steal. It's a steal unless you're a bunch of gassy dudes. Then it's not the right move. But once again, our extra food. Well, what did they do with it? Freaking bomb the cars. And that one guy threw, and it opened up. The burrito opened up, and the bean and flaming hot cheese just on the back windshield.
Oh, face hugger on a car. That's what they call it at AF.
Yeah,
It's like
hugger. That was amazing.
when our friend was trying to answer someone to the dance, and it was like it would be excellent to go with you.
Oh yeah.
So during the basketball game, our friend went out and like went and egged the car and totally missed it and I think they hit like an Audi right next to it.
Like an Audi on that side, and on this side it was like a really nice Infinity.
Oh.
And it was freezing, so it like froze the egg forever, most likely.
That was really bad. But if my memory serves me correct, it was either I or you or both of us that came up with that sick idea. Because we're like, she has a crappy car anyways, let's just egg that thing.
It'll give it some like flavor, some character.
Exactly. It'll be excellent, like we said.
I was actually talking about the hot sauce story when someone I heard, I may be true, I have no idea. Probably not even true at all. But these people got attacked in the middle of the night by a rival gang of high school students with water balloons, and they were having the sleepover on the field.
Oh, the traditional high school senior sleepover.
Yes. And then that same night, the first gang that was sleeping on the field wanted to get revenge on the second gang because they threw water balloons at them. So they chased them back to one of their houses and put hot sauce on one of the cars. And then I heard they also found a dead bird.
Dude, I remember that my friend told me that they went to someone's house who usually they had a lot of siblings, so they had all this leftover food. It was like a bunch of boys, like a family of 10. And they raided the closet, and the best thing they found, pretty much the only thing that was in there, weirdly, was like that giant like gallon of Pace hot sauce from Costco. That's what I heard they used to put on the car.
The industrial, like used only in the cafeteria at elementary schools.
Yes, like the MTC supply of hot sauce.
And then if you think about coming on that scene the next day, the dead bird, they probably assumed that whoever put the hot sauce actually killed the bird as well.
That's
which
true.
the bird's like more fear,
Yeah,
but more intimidation factor, but it wasn't true.
like,
so here,
the bird scavenger, that species is probably a scavenger, hunter-gatherer type bird, and it saw free food and it just couldn't handle that pace, and it kind of just internally combusted, and that was it. The last meal they ever had.
What a lovely way to go, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it was some nice place. Also sponsored by Pace.
Oh, I can't wait till Del Taco and Pace shows up on the doorstep in the next 5 minutes.
Reed, do you remember this? Andrew Paul's father was either started it or was the head G Wiggity Wog of the Del Taco franchise.
Do I remember that? That was one of the greatest days of my life.
Yeah, and when they fired it up when we were like sophomores or something, when they started up, they had that day where he just invited all his buddies and whoever, and you could order whatever you wanted, how much you wanted, like as many times you wanted. Lots
That
of
was seriously so sweet. And I was just like, I don't even want another 5 of those cinnamon crisps, but my
but
heart is telling me
never
don't
gonna
stop.
happen again. Exactly. Dude, I just drove past that today with old Jansen. It's now some health place. It's
No.
Are
not
you
Del
kidding
Taco
me?
anymore. That's what I said.
The
Wait.
liberals taking over.
This is the
Those
future they want.
that dang far left. They hate getting their cars bean and cheese burritoed.
This is the future George Soros wants.
Those SOBs.
And I hope Biden's happy.
I'm surprised they're not the ones saying build the wall because they hate Del Taco so much.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's insane. Gosh dang.
Dude, speaking of, aren't you going to Bolivia like in a couple days, Mr. Darnan?
Oh, Bolivia. I barely know her. Yeah, going
That
on
joke's
Saturday.
never funny.
I'm laughing out of pity, my friend.
This podcast is also sponsored by Pity.
Listen, that joke's fire in Bolivia. People love that stuff. They eat it
They're
up.
like, no hablar inglés.
But it sounds funny.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I got the old COVID test today. They swabbed my schnoz. And gosh, it felt not
Dude,
as bad as I thought.
How
it'd
deep?
be.
Really?
If
How
it
deep?
didn't-
How deep? Tell me when.
More. Almost there. More like. Hang on. You got to go like pretty much all the way around. Anyway.
Wow.
No, yeah. It was not too bad. I don't know.
Really?
I didn't think it was bad.
Did you get the double schnoz or just a
No.
single schnoz?
Dude, there's a double schnoz?
Dude, which one did you get? I got the PCR one.
Same here.
Oh my gosh, I'm not kidding. It was the worst thing of my life. It was so bad. The dude was sick who was helping me. He was funny. He's like, all right, now this isn't the most pleasant
He was
thing.
like he had COVID.
Yeah, he was deathly sick. He's like, all right, you see this? It was like seriously this long. And he's like, all right, right here in the middle, that's the breakoff point. Now we're gonna go, just a little behind that, and then we'll stop, and then you'll be good to go. And I was like, all right.
how would you see that when the thing is like in your nose? Like there's no way
Yeah.
to tell.
Wait, what's the breakoff point? Like if you go past that, it'll be stuck in your nose forever?
I guess, and I got to live with a COVID test in my schnoz. But so I was like, all right, that doesn't sound too bad. I haven't heard, bad things about it. It sucked so bad. So he launches this thing straight in the schnoz gobbler, and my eyes like automatically shut. I couldn't open them at all. I felt like I just got knocked out, and I was sitting there like, oh. My body was like shaking, like when you eat something like super bitter,
Yeah.
and your body just like trembles. I was doing that, and I couldn't open my eyes, and I was like, oh. And then he pulls it out, and then I'm like, whoa, like
there's a little bit of
to,
blood and brain matter on it.
There's a little bit of brain on it.
Nice.
And then my eyes were just like watering, like as if I chopped like a bajillion onions. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that was so bad. What the heck? And it was a dude and a chick who were doing the test, and they were just kind of like, ha ha ha, like laughing at me because I was making such a scene about it because it was so bad. And I was like, does everyone like have the same reaction? And he's like, not too many. I was like, sweet. But then he's like, then they're just standing there, and I'm like, well, and he's like, all right, you ready for the next one? And I was like, what? You got to be kidding me. So they had to do both nostrils. Same, but even worse on this side. Like, whoa.
Where'd you go?
Just by the outlets. It was so bad and such a weird feeling.
That's not like mine. I've taken 2, and I didn't have to do nose stuff on either of them. I just spit for both of them.
Well, yeah, I did the spit test, and then my mom calls. She's like, no, it can't be the spit test. Bolivia only accepts the nasal swab. I'm like,
the schnoz gobbler.
Yeah, so I had to go get a nasal swab, and the closest place was like AF Hospital or something.
Really?
Yeah. And the lady just like counted to 5. She like, you could see like the grin on her face. She was just like swiveling it around. She's like 1, 2, 3, 4.
What's it gonna be?
5. Yeah. Anyway.
It was so bad. Oh man, it wasn't so
that bad. I didn't like it.
I couldn't believe how sucky it was. And then they're like, the chick was like, if you want, like, if you need to like recover, you can just like park right here, like nobody's behind you. Just take some time. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need that.
How long did it take to recover?
I was there for like 10 minutes, just like, holy moly, and my eyes would not stop watering.
I
It was
wonder
bad.
if what that is. Like, I wonder if you have some like, if it's like the structure of your skull or something, or if you have like extra mucus or
Like extra narrow, like nose holes back here or something. I have no idea. And then
She gave me a little tissue because she was like, "This will be if your eyes water or whatever." So I guess it's common enough.
oh man, it was really bad.
it is so humbling how much a little thing can totally wreck your whole body. Like, so I went in. I couldn't hear out of one of my ears last year. It was just like it was just like randomly like I couldn't hear, and then my jaw was kind of going numb. I'm like, what the heck? So I go to the doctor, and they're like, yeah, we don't know what happened, but like in your deep inner ear, there's like earwax, like what's the right word? Like petrified almost.
Oh,
Dang.
Like it had been in there. Well, there's a word for it. Maybe it's calcified or something. And it was like, so it was like a stone in my ear. And he's like, I have no clue how long that's been in there.
That's gnarly.
Yeah. And it was like, what the heck? And actually it's funny because the first thing they asked me, at first I was all embarrassed because I'm like, yeah,
You're like, I'm disgusting.
I don't clean my ears that often. Geez, sue me. And what they asked me actually was, they're like, do you clean your ears a lot? Do you use Q-tips? And I was like, okay, sorry, no. And they're like, good. We thought that it was because you did that.
Oh,
Because
like having it further or something?
yeah, they're like, never use Q-tips. And they like just like scared me. They're like, never ever use Q-tips. I guess
What do they recommend?
they said to use water.
Like a water pick type deal?
So either there's a machine that they have, which is like super cheap, and it just basically sprays water with pressure in your ear, or they said just like in the shower, just like use water.
Weird.
I use
Yeah.
Q-tips, but I don't put it in the ear. I just like swab around the hole.
You're weak, bro.
So,
Um,
I just don't
One
want. I
sec.
don't want those.
One sec.
I don't want those stones.
What was I gonna say? Oh, dude, does that like like your motion sickness? Did that help after you got that cleaned out, or?
So it was weird. So I was like, they're like, oh yeah, it's like pretty routine. Like it'll take like 2 seconds. We'll just use this machine, and we just got to put some water on it, and then it'll break apart, and then we can pull it out. And I'm like, okay, and I felt totally fine. I mean, I just had like a little bit of numbness, which is weird, and I couldn't hear. It was literally that was it. So they start doing it, and I'm laying there, and then all of a sudden, like, whoa, and I like faint backwards. I don't actually faint, but I completely go crazy dizzy, like the most dizzy I've ever been. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna throw up, and I was like, the nurse like gently lays me back, and you're exactly right. It's because your inner ear is what determines your motion sickness and stuff. And so whenever you mess with your inner ear, it's like having vertigo.
Yeah.
And so I felt like so silly. Like, do you want like a juice box or something, man? Like, are you okay? I'm like, oh yeah, just please.
Here's the
Apple
juice.
juice.
And animal crackers.
Oh,
They give me like a little toothbrush. I'm like, oh, thanks, guys. I
It's
seriously had to sit there. I had to sit there for like 20 minutes, probably, just like leaning back and like, don't move your head at all. Because every time I'd move, it would be like, you know.
That sounds gnarly.
Yeah.
But it's too bad that we've like exposed the greatest ways to torture ourselves to the whole world.
To the millions that
I
follow
know
the podcast.
freaking the Al Qaeda probably listens to this. So if they ever get a hold of us, we are screwed. We're telling all the government secrets.
They're going straight for the inner ear every time.
Yeah. Straight for the inner ear and the deep nose.
My high school bullies are probably gonna get a hold of this.
What's your torture thing? You haven't said one.
Yeah.
You don't remember? Did I tell
Yeah.
you, Reed? I got butt surgery the other day.
I don't need to know about your personal life.
No. So I was just, sitting there doing my business, and there was like a lump
Butt
on
surgery.
my butt. And I was like, what is this lump? And I'm like kind of freaking out about it.
Was it like a tail, dude?
It could have been, according to the doctor.
Was it your twin? Your butt twin?
My unborn twin. So Doc, goes into surgery and he pulls out a spinal column and some small teeth.
Oh,
I had my unborn twin. No, just kidding. That was
dude,
my
that
big
means
fat
you
Greek
have
wedding.
the
Dude,
strength
whoopsie.
of one man and one tiny little deformed baby.
Exactly.
Until the doc took it out, you lost that baby strength.
We're gonna go fight Dwight now.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good match.
Nah, so I tell my mom, I'm like, hey mom, I gotta tell you about something. She's like, what, you're gay? I'm like, oh, funny. No,
Funny you should mention that.
yeah, I don't know why she's no. So I tell her like, I got this lump on my butt, and she's like, gross. And she tells me to go to the doctor. I just turned 26. So I'm like, what doctor can I afford? Because I don't have insurance.
The
Right.
right.
I was like, well, whatever. I don't want like butt cancer or whatever this is. So I go get it checked out. It was just like a cyst. Apparently, it's really normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they just like stabbed me in the butt like without any warning.
Was it painful?
Yeah, he supposedly shot me with whatever numbing anesthetic. It didn't work.
Did you giggle?
I'll never do
Just like that.
I mean, was it painful before? Like
texting me. Yeah, it kind of hurt to sit.
So it was like on your cheek. It wasn't like your lower back. You like were sitting on it.
Yeah, it was like
sit on it and spin, they say.
It was like almost it was like at the top of the crack.
Can we get a visual?
Hang on, I gotta show you.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't really sit on the top of the crack, but I do understand how that could be.
Well, neither do I, but you got to understand there's a lump growing. So now the top of my crack is now like turned into the bottom of my crack.
Well, it's like it's like the new butt. It's like taking over.
Yeah.
It touches first.
It's the new me, the new butt. Anyway.
It's in.
Yeah, so they just stabbed me in the butt.
So your torture is getting stabbed in the butt.
Yeah.
Mine's taking something deep in the nose, and yours is getting your ear shot up deep in
like those little things, like if you ever like break a nail, oh my goodness, I've broken my toenails off so many times.
Dude, the toenail's the worst.
Or mouth stuff, oh my goodness, if you have a canker sore or like a zit in your nose, it is like the worst thing.
And it's like you'll be like sitting in class, at least I did this many times, sitting in like English class and like fall asleep, and you're kind of doing one of those, and it hits your like nose that thing, and then you're like, it just zings a flaming hot pain through your whole body. Oh,
I hate
those were the worst. Thank goodness I haven't gotten one of those in a long, long time.
And they're like all over the skin, like deep down, so they're not the kind of thing you can just like
deep
pop.
dermis.
Yeah. Lower derm.
No, what I get now is like back knee. I don't really get acne on my face anymore, but I get those ones that are on your back. That's like the whole, like it's like a quarter size, just like pink area because it's underneath, so you can't even pop it. It's just pain.
And if you did, you would have to like dig into it.
Should have Matt stab you sometime.
You should, Dr. Pimple Popper.
Pimple Popper.
Those are the worst videos.
Oh, I can't handle those.
Edit in a video right now.
I wonder if the doctor who stabbed me in the butt was videotaping that for Pimple Popper.
Oh, I'm sure he was.
Yeah, you're famous.
That
your upper butt crack is famous.
That would explain why the nurses were like chanting Pimple Popper the whole time.
That's why they got a measuring tape. How far is this one gonna go? Oh, disgusting. Maybe you should lay off the roids, dog.
Yeah.
Dang.
That's who I am.
Yeah. The roid life chose you. You did not choose it, You got a baby, so you gotta keep that guy in line,
Yeah, let's say he's growing so fast. I'm like, I can't let this guy come in here. He knows no one. He doesn't even speak. And he's just like, he's running the place. I'm like, okay, I gotta beef up. My deadlift, my squat, they've got to skyrocket.
Exactly. You can't have that guy walking in, dude, slobbering on stuff, pretending he's the alpha, whining and yelling at your wife. What's that about?
He owns the place.
Like the kid doesn't even have a job.
Hold weight once in a while, tiny little man.
God.
I hope he doesn't hear me though, because I mean he's just like he holds a grudge.
Yeah, he could beat you up if you're not careful.
Yeah, that's why he's roided, man. Dang. Fetch.
Yeah, it's that baby milk.
Yeah, that'll do it. That's why the bodybuilders do it, I guess.
What,
Baby milk
baby
has
milk?
steroids in it. Yeah. They drink-
Bodybuilders drink baby milk?
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
Yeah, they do. It's disgusting. They buy it
I
from
hear-
chicks and drink it.
I hear it's like sweet. It's kind of nice.
From what I remember, about 27 years ago, it's pretty good.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, the essence of life, just like that stupid, crappy movie. We need more essence.
That movie rocks.
That is
Talking
the
about
worst
Dark
movie of all
Crystal, that
time.
movie rocks.
This
I haven't
podcast
seen
is not sponsored by the Dark Crystal.
Ugh.
Gosh dang.
I haven't seen that, but I'll put that on my list
Of what not to watch.
of
It's-
things to do if I end up in hell.
Oh, you know what this podcast should be sponsored by is Dairy Girls.
What is that?
St. Patty's Day. Have you seen Freaks and Geeks?
Yeah.
It's like Irish Freaks and Geeks.
It's like actually from Ireland.
Yeah, they're like these Irish girls, like just going through the motions in like the 90s. Like they're in like Northern Ireland, like all through like the uprisings and stuff, the revolution. It's pretty funny, and the accents are, dare I say it, on
Spot
point. Yeah,
on.
spot on.
That'd been
Wait,
sick
are
if
they
you-
actually Irish though, or is it an American show about Ireland?
They're Irish actresses, Irish actors, like for real. But I think it's on Netflix, so I think it's like a Netflix production. Like it's one of their original series.
Have you guys seen? Speaking of Irish movies, have you seen Far and Away?
No.
Tom Cruise. It's a good Irish movie if you're in the mood for some long Irish drama about.
Where everyone like criticizes his accent.
Yeah, probably. It's from the 90s. He's this Irish guy. He moves with his Irish wife, Nicole Kidman, to the US. It's kind of sweet, but it's like kind of cool. They go to the Wild West and like have to go find land and stuff. But yeah, it is.
Grow potatoes.
Yeah,
Potatoes.
Taters, precious.
Potatoes.
I know the whole movie is just like he's like, "Hello, Shannon. How are you?" It's like it makes sense that people make fun of the accent because it's not great. But
Dang. Shoot, Tom. Is this like an old movie?
90s?
90s, like 90, 95 probably.
Want to fact check that?
Let's
Dees
fact
is
check.
actually the podcast fact check.
Here we
I'm
go.
the one with the glasses.
Bring it.
so
I
I'm
say 96.
92.
Ugh.
Gonna have to edit that one out, dude.
Oh man. Okay, let's start recording now.
What's the best movie you've seen lately?
That's a good question. This is not the best movie I've seen. This is weird, but it's just on my mind. There's a show called Twin Peaks on Netflix. You guys heard of that or watched it? What?
Is that a football show?
No. It's a like murder mystery show. It's so weird. Oh my gosh. It's from the 90s, I think, or maybe even the 80s. And it's like this girl shows up. Like it's weird. We're only like 3 episodes in and it's super weird. So I don't really recommend it, but I haven't finished it.
Have you watched Murder Amongst the Mormons yet?
Yes. Have you watched it?
Dude, yes.
It's nuts.
It's freaking crazy.
It's insane.
And what's crazy too, my mom, she was like on her mission during that time. But my dad, he was here and he's like, yeah, I totally remember all that. Man, it was pretty gnarly.
So let me get this straight. This guy what did he do? He like killed a bunch of people. He seemed like totally normal.
Do you want like spoiler alerts? Because the channel wants spoiler alerts more importantly.
Spoiler alerts.
Spoiler alerts.
So there's this dude named Mark Hoffman, right?
Yeah.
And he's a rare document dealer is the title of his job.
I've heard of this. Yeah.
And his like claim to fame is that he finds all these super rare documents. Like he found the first thing ever printed in the US called like an oath to something.
Oath of the Freeman or something.
Yeah. Then he finds like all this other all these super old documents and sells them for good money to collectors or museums or whatever. So anyways, and he's an LDS guy, and so that's one thing he specializes in is finding LDS documents. So fast forward.
I won't spoil it.
Spoiler alert. It turns out pretty much all of the stuff he was finding was all just fake, and he was a super good counterfeiter. Like he had FBI check the documents and they passed as real, and all this crazy stuff. And
the museums checked it, and like all the best in the world checked it, and they all said it was real.
Real. And he's really famous for this one paper that was called the White Salamander.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
That basically was it supposed to be Joseph Smith who wrote it, or Joseph Smith's brother?
Yeah, it was like Joseph Smith recounting how he found the plates, and he said that it wasn't Moroni, but it was a white salamander that told him where the plates. So it's like controversial because it goes against church teachings, but it was authentic from Joseph Smith.
Yeah.
Right.
So what they say in the documentary, it's like, so the religion that's based on like this angel is now based on this like magic of a salamander that he like followed and whatever.
Sounds tight.
So anyways,
I want to follow a white salamander to some gold plates.
Yeah.
Don't we all?
Anyways, so ends up everything's fake. But hold on, back up. So old Mark,
Hoffman.
I don't remember what his reason was. I mean, he felt like he was going to get found out or something.
Yeah, so he was working with this guy who worked for the church, and he was going to sell him this like a packet of documents that was
the
basic
papers or something.
Yeah, and I can't remember exactly what was in them, but it was pretty big stuff. I think it was like Joseph Smith wasn't the actual prophet. I think it was supposed to be his older brother, and it was like letters between them, and it's all this like way controversial documents that kind of exposed the church in a bad light. And he said that he found it, and so the person working at the church paid him without seeing them, but he hadn't actually.
No, $180,000.
Yeah. And he just forges them. But it was so many documents. It's supposed to be like 30 pages long that he didn't have time. And so he was going to get caught in his lie. And so this guy was going to go with him to go get the document. And so instead of exposing himself as like, hey, I don't actually have it, now I have to give you your money back, and I was lying, he kills him.
With a bomb that he leaves at his office.
Shoot.
Yeah, in downtown Salt Lake.
The guy is crazy though. He's like a genius. So he kills. It's so smart. The guy is like a freaking genius. Mark kills this guy, right, with a bomb, but then he kills this guy's other associate in a completely different side of his business that has nothing to do with Mark, just so it seems like it was this business, because they're like in the financial industry. So he kills one of his financial buddies.
Well, he killed the wife of the financial buddies. Yeah.
Right. So that when people look at the murders, they are like, oh, this guy got murdered, and so did the financial buddy. They're not going to link it back to Mark.
Yeah, it must be some dirty money type thing going on.
And then the weird thing is, which I don't really remember exactly why, but he like blows himself up.
I think that was an accident, because remember in the last episode when they're interviewing him, which that was the best one, finding out like how he did everything, and he's like, yeah, it was pretty simple, really. I just used a vacuum to suck the ink into the paper. Like,
he's so crazy. He's like, oh, it's just like a simple instrument. You just take titanium pulside and you mix it, and it's like way complicated.
And you create ozone, and that ages the paper. Like all this crazy stuff.
See, I was just imagining him like sitting over his kitchen stove, like burning the paper slightly over the flame.
Yeah.
He used to do that as a kid.
But
all aged.
The interviewer asked him, because when that happened, he was gonna go meet up with that other collector guy, the heavier guy with the glasses and the white hair.
Oh yeah.
He was gonna go meet with him, and he had the bomb with him, And he said, the interviewer said something like, did you like plan on killing him or get, anyways, what I felt like was he was trying to kill that other guy too, to make those guys seem like they were all doing
Yeah.
something. And then it accidentally went off on him. And
Did he
then
die?
so he doesn't freaking die. This guy runs over, gives him a priesthood blessing, like commands him to live. He survives. Then he gets sent to then he testifies and tells all his story, so he doesn't have to be put on death row.
Huh.
He tells everything how he did it.
Jeez.
And then he puts a hit out for the parole board for the prison, who put him on like the life sentence or whatever. So clearly he's like, yes, I'll never do anything like this again, but he was just BSing once again. But he's crazy. He's still in prison.
It's
That's
crazy.
out, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's still in prison. It's crazy his thoughts on, like, they just interview him and he's very calm. He's like, when you listen to him, he seems just like some guy that's in your neighborhood. You know, it's like some nerdy guy that just like has an interest in some random thing, like collecting Magic the Gathering cards or collecting like Pokemon cards. He's just like he's not special. And then you hear him talk, and he's so dry about these crazy things. He's like, yeah, I realized that killing someone is probably not the best route to take, but in my mind, you know, they're no longer suffering. So my life philosophy is better for me, survival. And he just like he says these really harsh things, and he's such a deadpan that it's like even more shocking.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And he kind of like had this whole like alternate personality because he would go to New York a lot to find these documents, and then he would just like party and drink like crazy and whatever. And then he would come home and do the whole LDS
Just the
thing with his
family
wife,
man.
and yeah,
His wife had no idea too. It's like how he forged documents for like decades, and she
And
had no clue.
but it's so funny though, because like, well, he's tricky about it too, because like
Did he have like a
came
secret
home-
lair? How does she not?
he just
know
had a
that?
room that she wasn't allowed to go in. She's like, okay. But like, so he bought this Bible and then he just left it on the table, right? So she discovers it, so it's not him. So she's like flipping through it and then finds that's the one. It was like some Joseph Smith translation something paper. So she was the one who found it, so it makes it seem more legit and stuff. Kind of, he's really freaking smart, but then he's an idiot at the same time because
Is that the one they used to put on the Book of Mormons? Like they had that like sheath that would go on the outside. It was like a special edition Book of Mormon with like all the runes and stuff.
Do they not do that on all of them still? That have like the runes, or they like used to have like some hieroglyphics or something,
Oh
right?
yeah, they had like the facsimiles at the back, but this was like an edition where they'd have like the whole cover of the Book of Mormon had like a nice little like decorative sheath that had like one of the documents that he found, obviously. And then like obviously when all this came out, they like recalled all of them because they're like,
Funny.
well, that's embarrassing.
But like people are so stupid because he'd be talking to these different collectors, right? And they're like, oh man, if I like found this certain document, like my collection would be complete. Like that's been my life's journey. 2 weeks later, he magically has it. He does this to a bunch of people, and
For years.
Yeah, and the interviewer was like, how did no one catch on? You were finding all these things that people like were dying to find, and you were the one who found all of these things. Like, how does that work? And he's like, yeah, I guess people just want to. He said something interesting. He's like, well, if everyone says it's real, then and that's the perceived like reality, then it's reality.
Kind of
I thought that was so interesting because
Yeah.
it's true. Like, what's more real than the most authenticated thing? You know, they have all of the experts, and he's like, until I told you it was fake, everyone in the world thought it was real, so it's basically real.
Yeah. But Dees, thanks for asking. I'll tell you how they caught him.
Yeah, tell me.
So they had these
Riddle me.
these like expert specialized document researchers. I don't even know, were they just random guys, or because he was ragging on the FBI that the FBI didn't do a good job. Do you remember what his like credentials were?
I think they were like a special unit of the FBI that was only document or something like that. I can't remember.
Like FBI did a bad job about catching him.
No, they did
Well-
bad about examining the documents.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyways,
So he was telling them how to examine his documents to find out why they were fake. He was like,
No.
Well, no,
"That's like-
because at this point they hadn't caught him. The way that
Yeah.
they caught him was they found out his documents are fake.
yeah, so there's two guys who that's what they do for their jobs. And weirdly, one of the guys was LDS.
Mhm.
But anyways, they were like they said like 200 hours of just examining these documents, everything they could think, and they were like on their last like foot, like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? And then they noticed like under a microscope that the ink on all of his documents versus actually old documents, the ink cracked on all of his stuff. So then they're like, this is weird. We've never seen this. So they found them all and they're all cracked. And he was also that the Oath of a Free Man or whatever, the first thing printed in the US. He was trying to sell that thing for like $1.3 million or something.
shoot.
And then
Phony.
yeah, and then it was all fake. Which is
It's
just
such a bummer because you think about people like that, he probably could have been such an awesome part of society in some way, you know, like someone that talented.
yeah, and
just-
that like eye for detail too for all that.
Oh,
Did he make up? So he must have made up all the stuff within the documents too, then, right? Which means
Yes.
he's like incredibly creative. Like
Yes.
knew like how the lingo of the day worked.
Right.
oh, it's so detailed. He knows their handwriting. He knows the paper that they use, the way that they folded their paper, like their
Yeah.
signatures. It's insane.
Um
The wording.
that's what they said too.
That takes so much work.
There was
What a
like
jerk.
yeah, there used to be a game called, which is a hilarious name, called LDS game called Celestial Pursuit. And it was a board game, and he would like play it with one of his like document dealer buddies, and he would just like answer the questions like crazy and knew like everything. But it's crazy, like he could seriously be the greatest artist ever because like his penmanship and everything is just like so freaking good.
It is amazing. And one thing that's freaky too is they don't know how many of his fakes are out there.
Yeah.
So like
He did like all the founding fathers, like
Mhm.
all those big names in US history and everything and church history. Like, so yeah, they don't know how many are pumped out into the actual.
Did they ever get like a
Real.
profile, like a psychological profile on this guy, like why he might have done what he did, like why he turned out that way?
They said something like, well, he said something like he's just like fooling people. And if he could like fool the LDS church into all the members thinking like, oh dang, like our religion is like not even what we say it's been this whole time. He just really enjoyed like messing with people, fooling them.
Literally a power move. He just liked
Yeah,
being
like it's
in power over people.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I watched it. I
Controlling
watched it
people.
a second time with Jansen and his wife and Sophie, and it's really funny because like I remember them saying that and then watching his face every time it was like a press conference or whatever about the documents. He'd be sitting over there like trying not to like break up and smile, like laugh, like I got these idiots again. Crazy.
Well, and part of it too is he was raised in a LDS household and his parents are like crazy strict LDS. Like I don't remember what, but they
That's
share some story about how his dad is like way over the top. Like didn't let him read some book or anyway, something like that. And I think one of his final plan was to make the lost 116 pages of the Book of Mormon that Martin Harris lost,
Which
and then
been
like
nuts.
take down the church because he could just write whatever he wanted, right? He could make up any doctrine and just like blow the whole church up, which would have been insane.
It would have been crazy. Dang. I can't remember the quote at all, but oh well, first it did sketch me out too. So okay, So rewind. The guy buys the
Rewinding.
document or the like 160 McMillion, whatever, the ones he
Mhm.
was gonna fake and he didn't have enough time.
Right.
So he buys it for 180,000, right? Then through the grapevine it gets to the church and the church finds out that this is like going to come out and be like probably some major damage. So the guy says, the church in the film, they don't say that they ever asked to buy it or anything, but the dude says, who bought it originally for 180,000, said the church was going to buy it for 300,000 and just put it away and like hush hush,
Really?
which is really interesting and like kind of sketches me out.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, according to the documentary too, they have stuff like that, like now that they have all kinds of documents that they don't share,
Yeah,
which is interesting.
or even.
yeah. Which
Actually, it made me think a lot about history and science. It's like how much of what we think of as history was just someone's opinion, you
Mhm.
know? Like we think of, some like even well, obviously you think about like US history from a US is good light because we're American, but even back in the day, like I wonder how many things we just assume but we're wrong. Like maybe the Egyptians didn't even make the pyramids, or who knows, like a million different things. But we
Right.
just take it for granted. Science too. We just think things because we were told them,
right.
and who knows if they were a forgery or they were just lost in translation.
Yeah, it's like the whole like history is like written by the victors, so we
Yeah.
don't
Right.
even see their side.
It's real spooky.
It is really interesting, but that's why I think like I have a really hard time with like science and all that kind of stuff, just because like I feel like as men we're just way too confident in our like more immortal, right? Mortal.
What are you trying to say?
That we can die. Mortal.
Oh,
I always get those mixed up.
mortality.
In our mortal existence that we think, oh, we know everything. We got this
Mhm.
all figured out. We know, the Big Bang stuff, and we know about evolution stuff. We know about all this stuff. When really, like, it's honestly our best guess. It's the
Mhm.
best that we've come up with, and it changes. Not obviously those big stuff, but science stuff changes all the time. And so for me, that's super hard to be like sold on. Whereas I'm like, I'm way more okay with the answer. Like, yeah, we don't know the answers, but I know that in the afterlife, we're all going to figure out, and my faith is going to fill in and just say, well, God knows everything. It's all okay. It's all going to be good. We're all going to know it at some point. So, like, why fight and stress about it now?
Yeah, I feel way better about saying I don't know. It makes so much more sense because we really don't know. And I think people that say too certain on either side of most anything, it just gets I don't know, it gets annoying because like I'm so certain that the world is this way or that there is a God. It's like I'm so certain without a shadow of a doubt that there is. Or like there's no evidence. I'm so certain there's not. And like I never can grasp onto either of those because I'm always in the how the heck would you even know? Like
Yeah.
just tell me you don't know and this is what you think. But when you come at it with like there's no doubt, then I always cringe. I'm like there's some doubt. Just about anything there's some doubt.
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
I think we do the best with what we have, like with the knowledge that we have. I think that's all anyone can ask for. But sometimes I'll admit, like, I get caught between like too much nuance, where I
yeah.
live my life like, it depends on the situation. It's individual, obviously. Where I like, where do I actually stand on like moral issues, on
Mhm.
like historical issues? Like, sometimes I feel like the nuance is too much. I go to one side and I'm like, well, then what's the point of anything if it just depends?
Oh, totally.
And it's kind of like a balance you have to strike at some point where you're like, well, you go by faith, you go by fact, you go by, the nuance, you go by the certainty. It's just kind of sucks, but it's kind of difficult and kind of fun at the same time to try to navigate.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's the same thing. I feel that a good example of that is with like life advice philosophy, where people are like, you should chase your passion, or like, or you should work hard, like those type of big, like this is how I'm going to conduct, especially in our time, like our age, the way I'm going to conduct my life, how I'm going to search for meaning throughout my life. And a lot of times I get caught in the over nuance of it as well, and I just don't make a decision at all, because it's like, oh, but I should search for my passion, but depending on the context, I need to put my head down and work. And then
Yeah.
like it paralyzes you. It's good sometimes, even if you're maybe a little bit, I don't know, irrational, to choose one for the sake of like clarity of action. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, I guess I'm just gonna work now,
Yeah.
or like it's just otherwise you just stay put.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you could totally like, I don't know, justify it too, because the nuance is just like, yeah, it's totally fine. Like people say X, Y, or Z, but it's not really like that. Like it's individual. Like it doesn't matter if you like stay put for a little longer. Every path is different. And like being 26 years old and not having finished school, I'm kind of like at that moment, I'm like, I haven't done much because of kind of like just that, like you said, like the paralyzing fear or the paralyzing just nuance where I'm like, it's fine. I can do what I want, but I'm like, am I doing what I want? Like,
Yeah,
what
it's
do I
weird.
want?
And it's weird to be able as a human to justify basically any behavior because you can link it to a philosophy that makes sense. And so
Mhm.
like if you're unhappy because you're working so hard, you can justify it by saying, well, put your head down and work hard, you'll be happy when you achieve,
Right.
Right.
your goal. And you can justify the opposite as well. If you're like, man, I don't feel good because I've never accomplished anything, but then you can find a philosophy to fit as a medication
Right.
to the way you feel. And so it's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually read an interesting article about that called like sarcasm poisoning. And it was all about kind of like postmodern ideology where it's like basically focused more on treating life with sarcasm because like the way like philosophers like in the early 20th century kind of treated life as a whole was kind of like it's whatever you want, it doesn't mean anything to like Nietzsche and stuff like that. Anyway, the point of the article was kind of like how do we, now that we've kind of like acknowledged this void that is there, how do we like move on without just treating life with sarcasm and cynicism? And it was actually really interesting. Unfortunately, it did not give an answer, and I was kind of pissed about it. It's like, so it's you give me this, you tell me the
Come up
void
with
is
your own
there,
answer.
but and everything sucks, but like, what's the cure to that?
It's really interesting. There's a book, I haven't read it, but I was talking with a friend about it. It's called, I think, Pragmatism. And I was reading about it, and it's exactly what you're talking about. It's like, hey, let's accept that the truth could be that life is meaningless and nothing has any value, and we made it all up, and blah blah blah, and then just an empty, dark void for the rest of time.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, maybe that's the truth, and maybe it's not. But what's actually pragmatic for your life? And getting caught up in the philosophy of nihilism or anything like that, and just thinking that nothing has any meaning, doesn't do anything. It's just like, what's pragmatic for you? If you don't know, you might as well choose the opposite philosophy, that life is full of meaning,
Mhm.
because you'll live a more meaningful life, and you might as well.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. Like
Yeah.
we give life our own meaning, and the moment you just kind of decide it doesn't mean anything, well, I guess that's it.
Well, you're right. Yeah. If you think it doesn't mean anything, then it definitely doesn't mean anything, because it's
Yeah.
only matters to you. And
It's
so if you
ironic
think
how
it does,
individual that is, a nuance that is.
oh crap. Now we're back where we started.
Oh, those. Let's go back to Paul Blart and the hot sauce.
No, but it is interesting. It's weird, especially in this time period. I feel like we're in a very critical time period of life, because the transition, like your whole life as a kid, is basically scripted. And so you like go to school, and you just like, okay, then this step, and then this step, and this step, and then I graduate, and then they kind of like run out of steps, and it starts to get a little murky. And like, well,
Yeah.
you could go to college, you could just get a job, you could become an artist, whatever.
Let's get
And then
art.
that that little spot in between is really hard because kind of once you latch onto something, most people then kind of stick with that. They're like, okay, I guess I chose career. And it gets easier to fall into, well, this is what my life is now. I just like go to work or whatever. But in the in between, it's very weird because you no longer have your childhood to tell you what to do, and you don't have a routine to tell you who you are. So you're just like, I don't know. I guess I just choose.
Yeah. That's what Wyatt said at grad school. He said that a lot of all the other students, like, same thing. They didn't know what the heck they want to do. So I guess I'll just stick to school and then I'll figure out in 2 or 3 or 4 more years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
I feel like we always look at adults and we think like they've got it figured out. You know, they finally get it. And then you get to that age and you're like, oh shoot, they had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah. Like, oh, dang, man. I know. My thing was like Wyatt, all of his I just took whatever classes he took. Like I just followed his same schedule, whatever in school. Like, oh, I mean, he liked it, he got through it, so we're pretty similar. I guess I'll do it. So
Mhm.
now that he's like totally doing his other thing for the last, however many years, and I'm doing my thing, it's like, yeah, I don't have like a path to follow. I actually have to figure this out. And that has been the most difficult thing for me. But
Mhm.
it's like we've said, it's like it's so much worse to fall in this like state of limbo where you're not doing anything either way.
Uh-huh.
And then you're just kind of like, crap. I could have been doing like got through school this whole time or whatever. But then
For
I'm like,
sure.
oh, but I didn't know what I wanted to do to school, so it would have been a waste of time. Oh, but wait, maybe I would have figured it out if I actually was in school. Or
Yeah.
like, it's just tricky, man. It's so tricky to figure it out.
Even talking to my dad today, he was just kind of like lamenting about how he hasn't done all the stuff that he wants to do, and I'm like, that's a spooky thought.
See,
That's a terrible thought.
I much rather like not have a ton of money and have a lot of really cool experiences and fun versus, oh, I'm a great success and look at this wealth I've built. I'm great. Like,
Yeah.
what does that really do for you? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's great to have money because then you can do those type of things that you want to
Mhm.
do and you have the time to do those type of things, hopefully. But that's kind of at the end of your life, towards the end when you don't have as much energy and all that. So I don't know where the balance is.
Yeah, well,
And
that's exactly what Daniel was just talking about. Like the nuance of that question alone is
yeah,
like I get to choose what's going to rule my life. You know, either the pursuit of money or the pursuit of,
what I
uh,
want to do.
yeah, passion or experiences. But then you're like, but there's nuance. Like you can,
Sometimes you can do both.
like, yeah, not all rich people are sad. Like people are rich and have great experiences, and it's like, well, I guess I started back at the beginning because now I have no idea again. Thank you
Yeah,
for telling me that there's nuance.
this freaking
Uh-huh.
giant circle.
I think it just starts with just like taking a step, making I think any step.
Take the lead.
Take a
It's so
step
corny, I
in
hate
the dark.
it. It's so corny, but it really is. Like you just
Yeah,
any step in some direction is probably better than just staying put. And
Yeah.
at the
yeah,
very like you were wrong, and so you learned something about yourself. Like, geez, I really sucked at that one thing.
It should, yeah, just
I
like the
thought I'd be
quote.
great at it.
Exactly. Just like the quote, I'm sure we've all heard a million times, like, it's better to try and fail than not try at all. And that's so true.
I am going
But
to
a lot harder done than said, because like failing at stuff sucks. Like so bad. Like this recent job I just applied for,
yeah.
it would have been really awesome as far as like security and like the pay was great.
Did they have benefits too?
They had really good benefits, insurance, all that stuff.
Have you
401.
tried to give like a hot sauce attack at the person who got the job? Anything
I
like that?
tried, but she was wearing goggles, sadly.
She had those really cool shades.
Yeah.
Really cool shades that I wanted.
But like also that job was 9 to 5, or it was, what was it? It was 9 to 6 Monday through Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and you only get 1 week of PTO, which is pretty sucky. And I'm the kind of guy that gets really sick of like monotony
Mhm.
super fast. And
Mhm.
that's why I've like not loved the majority of my jobs. So I kind of didn't want it because like, oh, now I'm locked into this. I can't really do what I want to do. But yeah, just like we are saying, it's like, but I have like all this security and I have like a really good pay raise and all that stuff. So, but it was really sucky to hear like he like only gave me compliments. He's like, yeah, it's between you and this chick, and we just felt like she conceptualized the concept a little better, whatever the heck that word vomit means. But it also really sucks to like hear that, oh, you aren't quite good enough for this.
Yeah.
Like,
breaking up with you and they like talk about how cool you are and how
yeah,
you find
exactly.
someone cool.
It's
because
not
you're
you,
very
it's
cool.
me.
You're super cool and you're gonna find a super cool person.
Yeah, it's like
But
a
it ain't me.
giant freaking kick in the stomach. And you're
Yeah.
just like, oh, dang. But, you know, at least I freaking tried and got some experience from it. So,
Well, I think like some very simple but really good advice, kind of along that same line, is like just doing anything is actually a big deal. You know, it seems like, well, duh, you're always doing something, but you're really not. Like going out and doing anything at all with your life already puts you at the forefront of your life. And so like there's a million things that can happen. You can fail and you can succeed, but it's like so many people are just not doing anything, you know? So it's like, yeah, if you're failing, it means you're at least in the arena, you know?
right.
Like how many people just turn off? Like, I guess I'll just find like the first random thing and then just never think again.
See, and I know I would go crazy if like I get that job and then I just cruise at a like forever.
Next thing you know, you're like 30, then 35, and like,
And then I'm 40 and 50 and I like,
and then you're my dad. Sorry to call you my dad.
be your dad.
My dad was like, oh, I didn't do much.
Yeah, I thought I
I'm
like
terrified of that.
crazy.
I honestly,
Oh,
I hate failure and I hate rejection like anyone. It like it hurts your ego, you know, but I am more afraid of that than I am of failure, honestly. Of like waking up when I'm 50, being like, oh my gosh, like I'm old. I never did anything, you know? That
Seriously.
terrifies me to no end.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It's
Like-
tempting. It's tempting sometimes just to shut off. I don't know, like for like ever since like COVID started, I think a lot of people kind of shut off like this last year, and they're just kind of like, yeah, it's like you can't really do much. You know, everything's shut down, especially at the beginning of the pandemic. Like all of my all the art shows that I was supposed to be in got like canceled early
Yeah.
on. I just kind of like gave up on art for like an entire year almost
Mhm.
until right about like October. I just thought back, I was like, I could have been doing art like this whole summer. I could have been like practicing doing a bunch of stuff. And you know, you kind of kick yourself a little
Yeah.
bit, but I'm kind of glad I like woke up from that. I can't say exactly what woke me up,
Mhm.
but there's just like so much you could do, and it's really easy also to like kick yourself back into the rut
yeah.
by just being like overly harsh, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Just
true.
kind of
Like,
funny.
what's
Yeah.
what's the most valuable resource that we have? Time. Like you can't create more, you can't take it away.
Mhm.
And like, why do we like work so hard so we can retire and we can actually have time?
Mhm.
We're like working for time. But if you're
Exactly.
working so hard for time, you lose all your time. So it's like, fudge, bro. What am I supposed to do?
It's like that-
Gosh.
what's that movie where they pay in time?
Yes. With the guy,
Justin
Justin Timberlake?
Yeah,
yes,
I've
and he
never
has on his watch.
I've never actually seen it, but like all the elites and like the higher up people have like years of time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like the perfect way to view it though, is like you don't make money to make money. You make money to have time. Like time is the end goal, not money. And at least
Mhm.
that's how I think it should be.
I think most people think that way, but where they get lost is exactly what you're saying. It's like, and this is the way I think, I want more money so that I can have more time. But like, if you sacrifice all your time to get more money, you end up losing what you started getting money for in the first place, you know? So if it's going to take you 50 years to get the money you want to be happy, sweet. You'll be 70 and you'll have that, you know?
Mhm.
So
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I'm
Sucks.
sure that's like, so I took that outdoor recreation class, which was my favorite class I've ever taken. The teacher was super cool. Anyways, we would talk about this kind of stuff all the time. So it's like, it's the bell curve, right? So it's like, and it talks about like income versus happiness. So after doing all these studies and whatever, they found out that the top of the curve is a salary of $70,000 a year, because you have plenty of money to, you know, pay for your house and the necessities, but then you also have, your job's not like killing you, so then you have plenty of time to, you know, go on vacation with your family, or, you know, do your hobbies like art or whatever it is. But then like before that, it's, you don't have time because you just have to work because you have no money, so it's, you know, it's less on this side. And then after that, it's like, well, all I freaking do with my time, or with my time, is work. So then I'm making more money, but my happiness is down here, which is super interesting.
It's kind of extraordinary though at the same time, because like I don't think any generation has had more time to kill than our generation. Like I feel like maybe the last 50, 60 years have been spent trying to figure out how to make a living rather than like having to make a living, because like look back like 200-300 years ago, people had to farm and do their job in order to live.
Yeah.
Now here we're just kind of like, we do that to get by. It's not necessarily like to live anymore. Like it's not so much like a live or die sort of situation.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, you know, like you have like a higher level of thought when you don't have to worry about lower level things, like you were just saying. You know, like back in the day when you were subsistent farmers or whatever, you're like, well, I'm not dreaming about a purposeful job that I can find my passion, because that's like more enlightened thinking. I'm thinking about like, how am I going to get food to feed my family?
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder what the next step would be. Because now we're here and we're like, well, I want to find my passion. I want to make money. I want to be happy. I wonder what we are not thinking of, that in 50 or 100 years, they'll be like, oh, they were so silly back in the early 2000s. They thought about money. Money doesn't even exist. Or, you know, I don't know.
Those guys, they spent 4 years like slaving away with no money to trying to figure out what they wanted to do with the rest of their lives. Doesn't that sound like the worst thing ever?
Well, that's already, people are saying that about college. They're like, wait a minute, I spent this much time and this much money during my youth so
Yeah.
that I could be in debt and not get the job I wanted anyway.
Yeah. Like Fetch, I was just in the grocery store the other day,
True.
and a freaking cucumber was like, I don't even know. It was like 70 cents or something like that. And I'm like, dang, like that is freaking amazing that we've got to this point, because like how much effort would it be for me to grow that cucumber? I gotta wait like 3-4 months. I don't even know if it's gonna, you know, taste good or be big enough or whatever. It's pretty amazing. Or like pineapples. Pineapples take like either 2 or 3 years to grow, which is crazy. And they sell them at Costco for like maybe $2,
Mm-hmm.
which is like just insane.
But tomatoes, store-bought tomatoes, hands down, are always the worst.
Not the
They
worst, but they're
suck.
not as good as garden
Oh,
tomatoes.
they're not nearly as. They all taste like flavorless and like mushy. I mean, unless you get the vine ones, those ones are all right. Anyway, I'm not going to make this a tomato conversation.
We already had that.
I bought Maddie for Christmas a couple years ago one of these like cool, like sits on the counter in your kitchen, like inside garden type thing. It's got like a cool LED light and like these little pods.
Yeah.
I thought it was such a cool thing, and I was like, oh, this is so sweet. Like, we'll grow our own cilantro, you know.
So hip. We're so
Like,
hippie.
make our own guacamole, you know. And the thing was like expensive. It was like, I don't know, like $70. Maybe
Oh,
not that much, but it was a lot. And then
You
like
use it for Baby J's tanning bed now.
yeah, and like the reality of it was it took like 4 months, you know, and you get like this much cilantro. Like it doesn't actually, it's No, growing your own vegetables, unless you have like a legit garden, is like the worst thing ever. Sweet, I saved myself 70 cents over the course of 3 months so that I could have one tomato.
Like 23 cents a month.
Actually, like last year, we had a pretty good tomato yield.
Yeah.
This isn't a tomato podcast.
So we get all like Farmer Brown on you, but seriously, like every day I'd go out, there's like a new tomato, and I just
That's
like pluck
awesome.
it, eat it, chomp it.
But you have a big garden, right? You don't have like a play garden like me. You have like a legitimate garden.
To be fair, we did have a bunch of pots, and those gave us a ton of basil and mint and chives. And I'd like just go out and like pluck leaves all day, just like eating chives, whatever. Get onion breath.
That's what you've been doing all summer
Yeah,
long.
chive breath. That's what they
Chive
used to call
boy.
me in high
Yeah,
school.
chive boy.
No,
Yeah.
But the tomato plants had these like monstrous garden spiders in them. They're pretty cool. And they were huge. They were like big stripy guys eating my tomatoes. Actually, they were eating the flies that were eating the tomatoes. But it was cute.
So they're actually your friends because they.
Yeah. I greet them every morning, pluck a tomato, be like, "Don't mind me," you know.
Hey, Spidey.
What's up?
Yeah. It is awesome. Like, Sophie's dad in his backyard, he has like a mango tree, a pomegranate tree, an avocado tree, which is so sick to just walk back there. Okay.
Dude, I don't even know avocados grew on trees.
That's what this podcast's for, dude. Knowledge, bro.
I have never thought about where avocados came from.
Really?
Yeah. Don't tell anyone that.
You know, I always forget.
The world already knows.
Peanuts. Are they grow
Excuse
in
me,
the
what?
ground or do they grow on a
Excuse me,
tree?
what
I
did you
forget.
say?
Peanuts.
Pianist
Growing up.
plays the piano.
I think they grow on like a bush.
Do they?
Yes.
Are they? Maybe I should fact check.
I think that.
I
Yeah,
actually
go
don't-
ahead and fact check. Whoa. Fact check, guy.
Peanuts. Where do they grow?
I only think that's right because I remember your dad saying, "Yeah, these peanuts, man, they're covered in mold from the farmers who spray the bushes."
It's a legume. Known as the groundnut, goober, pindar, or monkey nut. And
Pindar.
taxonomically classified as what? Arachis, not arachnus. Whatever. Legume crops.
Fast forward this.
Yeah. Where do they grow?
Right there on the ground.
Isn't there a nut that's
Yeah,
like
there you go.
poisonous?
They grow
Go ahead
under
and
the
show.
ground.
Go ahead and show the www web.
Look at that.
Where in this picture are the peanuts? They're underground?
Under the ground.
So do you have to kill the plant to get them? You rip the plant out?
Yeah, like a tater.
Teacher's precious.
Yeah. Yeah, precious.
Wow.
They're like a potato. They grow under the ground.
I did not know that. Oh my goodness.
I didn't know they grew on the ground either. I thought they were just bush.
It's kind of spooky. There could be peanuts under this house. And
I
we
There
do
could be
wouldn't
peanuts under me right now, and I have no idea.
know.
No, we are the underminers. We live beneath you. I do know. Who knew this would turn into a nut podcast? I always had a feeling.
It always goes the nut way every time.
Everything leads back to nuts.
I hate
You know
that
what I'm
just the
saying?
way.
Cashews and walnuts grow on trees. I do know that much.
Yes, and pecans.
Pecans?
Pecans.
Pecans?
Pecans.
Okay, they grow on trees.
Is a coconut an actual nut?
This is a nut podcast. We should figure this out. Get on it, fact boy.
Fact check it.
Lord Chives.
Is a coconut
A fruit.
a fruit? Is a coconut a tree nut? Is a coconut a seed?
I think a coconut is a seed.
I think
too,
all
man.
nuts are seeds, right?
Isn't that
My nuts ain't no. I guess my nuts are seeds. Crap. Oh, this nut podcast is getting out of control.
According to www.hopkinsallchildrens.org, even though the coconut isn't a nut, some people who are allergic to tree nuts, like almonds, cashews, and walnuts, are also allergic to coconuts.
This isn't an old allergy podcast.
Yeah.
it's a nut podcast, dude? Get back to
dude.
nuts.
Nuts, bro.
On our allergy episode, let me tell you about the test I got. That's for different. That's a different time.
That's exactly after this one.
Wait, so what is it? I don't remember the answer.
I'm reading.
Fat
deep-
guy's a little slow, you know. He's new to the show.
Listen, I just got these. I learned how to read. I just like yesterday.
Dude, that's another one of those science things. That's like, what if allergies, like the shots they give you, what if those aren't even doing anything? What if it's just like, because like my brother gets those shots for allergies.
Oh, really?
And wait a minute. Maybe I'm confused. No, I think it's the shot just to know if you're allergic. I don't think you can do anything.
And the little cones and your like back swells up or your arms.
It's something like that. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, apparently you're allergic to everything. Like your arm looks like an elephant arm. So sorry. Now we know what you're allergic to.
All right, check this out. So, botanically speaking, a coconut is a fibrous one-seeded drupe, also
Okay, I
known
know
as
what
a
that
dry
is.
drupe.
A droop?
Yeah, drupe.
A drupe.
Drupe.
Drupe. Yeah.
French. However, when using loose definitions, the coconut can be all three: a fruit, a nut, and a seed.
Boom! Podcast over.
I don't.
I almost always use loose definitions with my coconutting, so I guess that works.
Yeah.
Catch me eating drupes later. Also,
Dried or?
going back to tomatoes.
Oh gosh,
My-
this is a nut podcast.
My favorite tomato, fruit or veg question is:
Where do you stand?
tomato is a fruit, does that make ketchup a jam? And usually people's heads explode at that point. I haven't had anyone give me a good answer to
My
it.
head's hurting.
If tomato is a fruit, then is ketchup a smoothie?
If
I think it's a soup.
if you can make potato
Wait,
salad,
No, it's not. It can't be a soup.
does that make it a green?
Oh.
Find out next episode.
Oh man. Well, I don't think we can top that, man. I think we just gotta call it a night.
Wow.
I'm gonna go tweet that real quick. Get Twitter famous. TikToks.
Man,
Follow me. Hashtag whatever.
what a roller coaster! What a roller coaster of a podcast.
Roller coaster.
My mind's still thinking about that coconut tree nut.
Oh, dude, I cannot wait for this to hit and just go viral.
This is gonna explode.
I'm honestly afraid with all the controversial stuff we've said.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like, is a coconut a nut? Is it a fruit?
Drupe.
That's pretty wild. Mark Hoffman, who done it? You know?
Honestly, though, I
knows?
can't wait to crack open a coconut in Bolivia or you in Belize.
Hold on. We should let's hear your Bolivia like rundown of what you're gonna do. Then do another podcast. Get the trip rundown.
Oh yeah, when I show you guys all the pictures,
Yep.
me
I wanna see
running nude
pics.
in the streets. You don't want to see that?
I do want to see that. Hyped up on that cocaine.
No, so we plan on my mom's family's from like Santa Cruz, which is like the tropics, like I would call it like the rainforest area. So we're gonna go there, obviously, stay with Granny, then go to like the
Granddad.
highlands in Sucre, and then
With
from
William
there take a
Wallace.
bus all the way to Potosi, which is like the super highlands, like the high desert almost.
Mhm.
Then we're gonna go to salt flats from there. That's gonna
There's
be
salt flats?
Yeah, biggest salt flats in the world. And this is like
Really?
the time of the
They're
year to go
amazing.
because they're covered in water and you can drive over them. They're like 80 miles by like 100 miles big.
How have I never heard of that?
Look it up,
huge.
dude.
I love salt.
Uni.
Do you happen to know? You're probably friends with them in the internet space. Do you happen to know Nate and Kara on YouTube?
Nate and Kara?
Yeah, they're like really big vloggers.
Mm-mm.
Like
Well,
travel vloggers.
They like have done it for like 4 years
Yeah.
traveling, and their channel's like huge. Anyways, they have a
This
episode where they
podcast is
go out
not
there,
Sponsored by Nate and Kara.
and it's super sweet. You'd like it. You'd like a lot of their videos. They're really good. They're well made and they're pretty entertaining. They're sweet. You should look it up because it shows they do like a sunset dinner on the salt flats, and they're just massively huge. It's really cool.
Is it look the same as the Salt Lake ones?
Yeah, but bigger.
Oh, dang.
That's what they'll look like about now because they say like April to March, April is when like the rains hit.
Uh-huh.
So they're covered in like a few inches of water and you can still drive over them. And because they're so big,
Uh-huh.
you can't see the mountains on either end in some like when you're in the middle. and so it's just like a big old mirror.
That's sweet. That's like when we went, it kind of looked like that in the US ones, like in the
and the
Bonneville.
Salt
where are
Lake.
those? What part of Utah is that in?
Northwest Bonneville near Wendover.
It's like an hour and a half west of Salt Lake City.
Dane, and check out this picture. I don't know if I took this in Hawaii.
Dude, on the
whoa.
volcano.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it
bad.
super well, like if
Yeah.
there's not enough lighting, but
Oh, no, I
um,
can- yeah.
Sick.
but yeah, it was so sweet because it was like a
gram yet?
what?
Why hasn't that hit the gram yet, dude?
Dude, I've been just researching the perfect time to post it so I can get maximum likes. And I think it's when you already have 1 million followers. That's what I've been reading. So
I also hope you changed like 3 times so that it looks like you went 3 different times. You know what I'm saying?
yes.
Top of the mountain.
Smart.
Yeah, so then people are like, this guy goes to Hawaii a lot when it was really
This
just
guy is in Hawaii every other weekend.
Do you was that a sunset or a sunrise that you did up there?
Sunset.
Sunset.
Oh.
Nice.
Oh, it was so cool. Oh my
Dude,
gosh. And it was so weird because apparently I didn't know this until I went there, but apparently on the mountain every single day, all day, it has the same weather pattern, which is just like it's just foggy and raining, and it never leaves because I don't remember the whole thing, but basically the winds from the the ocean are such a different temperature or something like that, and so there's always rainfall because the heat rises. Some science stuff. I don't even know if I believe it. honestly.
This ain't no science podcast.
No, back to nuts.
You're always again.
But anyway, it was so weird because we're driving, we're at like sea level, just having our normal day. We go to the beach, it's super hot and sunny. Then we go to the mountain and it gets really dark. It's like Seattle and it's rainy the whole time we're on the mountain. And we're like, dang it. This means that it's probably going to be rainy. We're not going to be able to see the sunset. And then you just drive through it and then you pass it and then it's hot and, well, actually, it's cold, but it's sunny. And it's like you just drive through it and they're like, oh, yeah, every single day. It never rains on the top because we're above the clouds. And
Yeah.
so it's like you can experience 2 completely different like seasons at the exact same place. It's insane, but it's freezing. It's like 30 degrees up there.
That's the only spot it like snows in Hawaii, right? Every now and then.
I don't know.
Maui, no.
Was that Maui?
That's Maui,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, dude, same thing when we went. Like driving up, I convinced my family, like, we have to go do this. It's gonna be super cool. Let's go for sunset. It's gonna be awesome.
Mhm.
Same thing, like, oh, it's dreary, it's whatever, let's not go, whatever. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, no, we're gonna bust through the clouds. It's gonna be amazing. You girls are gonna love this.
Hold to the
And-
rod.
Dude, right at like 8,000 feet, bust through the clouds. And I've never been above clouds like that. And it was so weird because it was like you were looking at the ocean, but like a white ocean because it's just clouds.
Yeah.
Freaking coolest thing
I
ever.
I was seriously awestruck. I was looking at it. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I know.
What am I looking at?
Like, am I
And then-
watching Avatar? What the crap is going on?
You look in one direction and there's just clouds, like a sea, like the ocean is just clouds. And you're like, what? Then you look in the other direction above the clouds and it looks like Mars. There's just like this, weird, like black and orange
Red and yeah,
dirt and stuff. And it was trippy.
crater that's like some X amount of miles across, just massive.
That'd be sick at sunset though.
It was,
Oh,
That go like all sorts of colors.
and then so sunset,
let me see.
and then the stars up there are crazy.
Mhm.
And like NASA, they have
Is that where they have the observatory?
NASA has an observatory there. It's so freaky.
Look, let me show you. This is maybe I don't know if I turn my brightness up to see better, but this is a picture at sunset. It's just like,
So awesome.
oh, it was seriously. And there was a couple times when I was in Hawaii that it was like you see something so like I don't even know the word, like majestic, so like out of this world.
Yeah.
I honestly would like tear up. I'd just be like, what?
Yeah.
Like, this is what the world is like, and I've lived my whole life not seeing this. Like seeing the Nepali coast, I was just like, what?
Yeah. Or just the color of the ocean water. It's like
It's, like,
water's
so
actually this
clear.
color. Like, holy moly.
Like thousands of years people couldn't travel. You know, like you lived in your tiny little corner of the world forever and you had no idea. And even like before TV, like you didn't even really know that those places were real. And so you hear these legends, you know, like
Yeah.
Marco Polo returns from China and tells everyone, it's like, oh, there's these waterfalls that are higher than the eye can see, and these beasts that are orange, and they're like bears. And everyone's like, yeah, whatever. It's crazy because
They're like,
now,
"What's
like,
They're like, what's orange, Mark? We don't know what orange means.
what did you mean red? Because we've never heard of that color. That's a fruit.
Well, no, I was like telling someone the other day that like potatoes come from Peru, like the Incans.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, like it was like a South American thing, and people were like, "What taters? What the heck are these
You mean
things?"
taters?
Taters.
Potatoes.
We
They-
don't mash them.
Maybe I should fact check myself.
Yeah, go
I
ahead
could be,
and
I could be completely wrong.
Yeah,
No, but
that'd
they
be
have like
crazy.
hundreds of varieties of potatoes in like Peru and Bolivia.
Huh.
Not to make this a taters podcast.
Stick to one freaking food. It's seriously crazy though. Like, imagine how amazing / terrifying it would be to, like, not even that long ago, like Lewis and Clark, like they come out and explore the whole West. Like they saw the Grand Canyon. They're rafting down the Grand Canyon.
Did they?
Yes.
Dang, that'd be sick.
They're like, besides I bet Native Americans, I don't think they even would think to raft down the Grand Canyon because they know, like, oh, it's just, you can't get out anywhere, just whatever. It leads to the ocean eventually. But like, how terrifying, but sick. Like, you're the first, like, Americans, like, white Americans to ever see that kind of stuff. Like, to see, Yosemite or the Tetons, or even like, I bet here Utah Valley was just like pristine. I bet Utah Lake was just like so beautiful, and that would be so cool. But also the unknown of, like, we don't even know what the heck is out there. Like, I
Like,
guess go check it out.
animals that you've never heard of, you know, like the first people that saw like warthogs, and they're like, what the heck is this thing?
That's so cool.
Or freaking dodos. I would have loved to have seen a dodo.
I wonder if you took like somebody from, like one of those Amazonian tribes in the middle of Brazil, if you took them and like took them on a tour of just like, I don't even know where, just somewhere in the US, not that crazy, if like they would just be like scared or just like super amazed, or I wonder how they would react.
Well,
Or like,
what I always think, it's like we have a really weird ability to like get used to things, you know? Like, it's insane to me that there's something that's so new and it blows your mind, and then it doesn't take long for you to be like, oh yeah, okay, that's the way that is. You know, like, well, even in Hawaii, it's almost sad. That's what I told Maddie this. I was like, I hope I never get used to this, because it was so like amazing and like awe-inspiring. I'm like, we can't stay here for too long, because I don't want this to feel normal. You know, it's nice to have the escape.
right.
And like when I came home from my mission, there was like new technology I'd never heard of. I'm like, what? Say what? You can like do Bluetooth? And
I remember you're like, dude, I don't know what's with my phone, but like, and you were dead serious. You're like, I don't know what's with my phone, but dude, I have like Wi-Fi everywhere I go. It's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, that's cellular data, dude. What the? That was so funny. And that's crazy. Like, that's not even that long ago.
and you just get used to it. Like, we hear more crazy stuff every day, and like pretty soon they're like, we're going to be putting a chip in your brain that connects you to the internet, and you'll be able to know everything just like you can look it up on the internet. It sounds so crazy, but if that really did happen, like it wouldn't take that long before we just are used to it. You know, like not only used to it, like entitled to it. Like our phones are like so insane and amazing. And it's been what, like a decade? And we're like, man, these like suck. These need to get better. Like, can you believe how slow it is?
Yeah.
Like accessing all the information on the planet, and it took 5 seconds longer, you know?
I remember when my dad got the iPhone 3, that was the first smartphone I had ever seen. And we were going to a golf tournament in at the homestead, like by Heber. And he like forgot how to get there or something. He's like, oh, just let me see my phone here. Type in the name, the homestead on this little square thingy, and then that'll tell us how to get there. I'm like, what are you talking
Excuse
about?
me?
That's not gonna work. Like, you have to do that on the computer at home or print out a map.
Print it out.
MapQuest.
And I remember hitting it and I was
I
like,
remember MapQuest.
this thing is so freaking cool. And that's so true. Like, I get pissed off about maps all the time.
Yeah.
Even though it's so much better and so much easier to use. Or like even you guys remember when you would go on the internet on phones and it was just the web browser for a computer?
Mhm.
So it was
Mhm.
like it was like zoomed in huge on a phone and you had to like scroll around and find whatever.
Yeah.
That was the most annoying pain ever. But now everything's like mobile site, blah blah blah, whatever, and we're still like, freak.
No, I watched this video on Reddit. It was like this guy interviewing David Bowie on his like opinion of the internet, and David Bowie's like, "Oh yeah, it's like it's I don't know why he's Australian all of a sudden. He's like, it's a beast. We don't know what it's gonna be like. It's gonna be crazy or whatever." And the interviewer is like, "It's just the internet. Like it's probably just a fad that's gonna die out, right? Like surely it's not gonna be as big as you say." It's like, I think we have no idea what the internet will become, and I think it's going to change life as we know it. It's going to be like, he basically likened it unto like some sort of like artificial intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, we don't know how it's going to react. He like
That's
talked
so
about
interesting.
alien life form, and I was like, that's kind of accurate.
Pretty
Yeah,
true. Yeah.
crazy.
Like the internet just is kind of a beast. Like people are so different on the internet, and like the internet reacts way differently than normal people would react in person.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
almost become just like an entire second world that's just like its own unique world.
A second life.
Independent.
Second life.
It kind of like, I don't know, because you would think, oh yeah, we all have Instagram, we all experience the same, oh whatever. But it's like, no, we follow who we follow and we get suggested ads and follows because that's what we like. So that's going to keep us on the thing longer. Hopefully they want us to buy their products and all that crap. So we're just making our own little worlds. And I think that is a huge reason why there's so many people on the left that are so extreme and so many people that are right on the street so extreme and they hate each other because they never see like the middle ground of both worlds. Like, everyone over here is not crazy. Everyone over here is not crazy. Everyone's pretty normal, but like our whole internet lives are like totally opposite.
Right.
And that's a huge thing that's like doing some real damage.
It's really easy to become polarized.
Yeah. Well, I think the funny
podcast.
Dang.
I think
Place in Comic Sans.
the funny thing is too, like back in the day before the internet, and I remember not having internet because I didn't have a smartphone until I was like 20.
Same.
I was lying.
I had
You guys
to-
are freaking losers.
Freaking flip phone. I had to use yours
Yeah,
until
that's right.
I
That's
got
true.
for my mission.
I had a flip phone like since I was in 6th grade because I got lost in the Nordstrom.
Let me
and I
guess, you went
couldn't
to
see
Freedom
over-
Elementary too, and you could have
Listen,
Heelys in the
listen.
halls, and you had laptops in your classroom.
Well, that too, but no, I
Gosh.
couldn't see over the racks at Nordstrom, and I got lost. And I was like some worker lady found me crying over by the fish tanks, and my mom was like, "It's time to get our son a phone."
That's
And I
funny.
just got like this little cheap flip phone, and everyone thought it was really cool.
That's funny.
Well, like we talk about being in like a fake reality, right? Like what's the word? There's a good word for it. Echo chamber. You know, where like you only hear the stuff that you already believe, and you hear it again and again. It reinforces it, and it's funny because the internet has made that worse. But in some ways, before the internet, we had that. It was just really different. It was like your view of the world was based on like your 3 neighbors that you ever talked to. You know,
Yeah.
Well, I
or
think
like
that's
the news.
Yeah. What 3 news channels and their 3 neighbors you talk to?
Well, I think that's a huge part of it is like the physical aspect of being with someone, talking to them, reading body language, like learning how to do that as a skill,
Mm-hmm.
like changed how you viewed like whatever someone was saying, how you took it and things like that. Whereas nowadays, like I could be talking to some other schmoll who's like sounds like Reed, looks like Reed, but isn't Reed because he like, I don't know, did some internet mumbo jumbo. So like I guess
Deep fake.
you could be a traitor, or I could be a traitor. Riley could be a traitor. But I guess what I'm saying is like being there physically with someone, it's a lot easier to tell when something's fake, when someone's being real. And I don't know. That's my 2 cents as to like why we're so inclined to like I don't know, move towards echo chambers so much and just like accept everything at face value.
And
We're not
it's-
with them. We can't see people through
It's
the
a
internet.
lot. It's a lot harder to be mean to someone's face too.
Yeah.
Way harder.
The internet mob is like ready to spike someone, but then like you see them in real life
And they're like,
"Oh,
ah,
hey,
it's not a
what's
big
up?"
deal. Or,
Yeah,
oh,
it's
Yeah,
well.
fine.
yeah.
Go
We'll
grab a
get
beer.
over it.
Sorry,
Yeah.
root beer in Utah.
True.
And I hate when I get caught in the trap of like commenting on some whatever post it is that I don't know. It's supposed to be like a positive, fun thing, and then someone wants to tear it down because it's doesn't agree with whoever and whatever, and then I comment like, "Oh, you guys are so silly," whatever. I'm like, why do I get caught in that trap? Even like that's not doing anything at all.
Yeah. The
I
whole
really-
thing is just let's get rid of the internet. I think it's
Internet was a
That's-
mistake.
Yeah, let's just trash it.
Al Gore ruined society by inventing the internet.
Dang you, Al Gore.
Ugh, Al Gore and Trump, the two that invented the internet. Dang it.
Oh man.
Well, geez. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
This has been another episode of the Nut Podcast.
I don't know.
We are the Nut Brothers.
Wait, we started already? We started recording?
No, I'm starting right now. That was my intro.
All right.
Here, can you make this like the lame thumbnail? Someday, I would hope that Reed, you're down for this, I can tell, but I would love to get a fake tattoo. And is it true that you're an artist, my friend? Is that true? I heard the last year was a little rough, but
I
Okay.
dabble. I
Yeah.
dabble in art.
if either I get my own face or I get Reed's face going like this across my whole back, and then vice versa. Can you make that happen?
I can make that happen.
Put her there. All right.
Deal.
Like, shake it.
Okay, y'all.
All
We'll
right.
do another one of these in 10 years' time.
That's right. He's not coming home from Bolivia for 10 years. So
Until the next decade.
Have fun on your trip. Have fun in Belize. Have fun in Bolivia. And I'll be here just chilling in Arizona.
All right, man.
Eat some peanuts and coconuts for me. Actually, not coconuts. Peanuts, just peanuts.
Do some more research on nuts for the next cast.
Yeah.
I'll probably do it on dupes next time.
Oh, that's a good call. And
Droops.
maybe
Droops.
tomato.
Oh, is it droops?
Yeah, Droop Hayes.
That's what you
All
got.
right, man. Droop. I got it.
All right. Sweet, dude.
Okay.
Later.